I'm going to tell you what DPs actually think about today's cameras. I'm Paolo De Bord, I'm a filmmaker and DP based in Italy, and today we're going to talk about cameras and what DPs actually think about cameras. So last year I went to a film festival and I met some directors and DP, and one day during lunch the camera talk came up. So they start telling me how Kodak used to send their best stock film to documentarists, to the National Geographic, in order to have great footage to sell better their product. Now, today is pretty much the same, but with cameras. So when the camera talk came up with these DPs, and I asked them what did they use, they just answered that they use what they gave them, because this way they can avoid the rental costs of the camera and gear. So one day they might use a Sony Venice, the next day might use an Alexa, and the next day they might use a Blackmagic. They really do not care. They pretty much all agreed that after color grading and HDR, everything looks pretty much the same. Of course, you can see some differences if you start cropping in at 100 or 200%, like some YouTubers do, but let's be honest, nobody watches a movie like that. So maybe they don't get the camera for free, but they get the camera for the duration of the project, and they can save a lot of money. The other interesting thing that came up was that if they could, they will much prefer to shoot with older cameras like the Sony f35 or the Panavision Genesis, which are only 1080p. They said that the sweet spot was 1080p, and today's sensors are too much sharp, and some of them told me how difficult it can be to work with actors and actresses with a 12K camera. Because when the actors go back to the video feed to see themselves, they feel awful, because it's too much resolution, too much sharp. Now, I do understand that some of you might say that you can unsharpen these modern sensors, then you can do post-production and things like that, but why would you want that when we used to have cameras that already gave you the image you want for less storage? That's what most professionals want. They don't want to think about rolling shutter, they don't want to think about unsharpening the image, they just want a great image out of the camera. They much prefer reliability and a softer image and have to think about fixing things in post. And that's why a lot of people will still choose an FX6 over a Pixis 12K. The problem is that even if they want to work with these older cameras, they can't, because these cameras are difficult to find for rental, and because the productions today are so fast that these old big cameras wouldn't be properly practical. So buy whatever you want, but be aware about marketing. So this is pretty much all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you do, please consider subscribe. If you like to share some of your thoughts, comment down below. And what can I say? For today, this is all, and the journey continues.